When people say dreams are just your brain, they're really repeating a safety phrase, a cultural lullaby, because the moment a population accepts that the dream realm is a place, not a hallucination, everything changes. This story begins with a simple discovery that should have been impossible. Not a new telescope image, not a buried artifact, a repeatable set of coordinates found inside sleep. First, it felt like a miracle, a hidden world inside your own mind. A private universe where physics bends, grief dissolves, the dead speak, and fear can be rewritten like a script. Then the lucid dreamers started meeting each other. Not in a metaphorical way, in a geographic way. They described the same shoreline, the same black water that looked like ink but reflected stars like polished glass. The same market under hanging lanterns where vendors sold memories in jars. The same tower that never appeared in any normal dream, a thin needle of stone rising through a sky that looked too deep to be imaginary. And the most alarming detail was always the same. The entities noticed the moment you realized you were there on purpose. Once you became lucid, the dream realm stopped pretending it belonged to you, and the locals got hostile. What follows is a complete timeline, past and future, of how humanity stumbled into a real location during sleep, why its inhabitants panicked when we began exploring, and the hidden reason they are willing to kill to keep us out of certain places. Long before recorded history, before writing, before measured time, humans learned the first rule of the dream realm: do not look too closely. In cave-era rituals, shamans used drumming, fasting, and smoke to leave the body. They returned with the same warning etched into oral tradition across continents. There is a night land, and it is already inhabited. Tribes separated dreams into two categories: personal dreams, which felt messy, emotional, random, and true dreams, which had structure. True dreams had weather. True dreams had distance. True dreams had consequences. People who died in true dreams sometimes didn't wake up right. They woke up hollow, like the best part of them stayed behind. Around 900 BC, early settlements began building sleep chambers into temples. You can find hints of this in the oldest sacred architecture. Rooms designed not for worship, but for controlled vulnerability. The idea was simple. If the dream realm is a place, you don't go there alone. You go there with guards, chants, and rules. The first known map of the dream realm wasn't drawn on paper. It was sung, a sequence of images taught from elder to apprentice. The river that flows upward, the city of masks, the staircase that loops, the field of silent children, the door that appears only when you stop searching for it. Then, in the early city-states of Mesopotamia, something changes. Priests begin writing down dream instructions, not interpretations, instructions. How to arrive at specific locations, how to speak certain names, how to avoid the watchers. These writings quietly introduce a concept that will haunt every era after. There are beings in the dream realm that are not dead humans, not gods, not angels, not spirits. They are residents, and they have their own laws. By 3000 BC, Egyptian traditions around sleep and the afterlife blur into a single system. The Book of the Dead isn't just about dying. It's about navigation, passwords, gatekeepers, weighing the heart, passing judgment. The more you read it like a security protocol, the stranger it becomes. And then there's the first whisper of the hidden reason. The place behind the place. A region described as forbidden even to priests. Not because it's evil, but because it's foundational. A source. Something like the root directory of reality. If you reach it, you don't just learn secrets. You gain leverage. Around 1200 BC, Greek mystery schools formalized dream incubation. People sleep in temples to receive answers. This is where the dream realm's residents start refining their tactics. They learn how to package themselves as gods, muses, dead relatives, spirit guides. They learn that humans will obey a mask if it promises meaning. This is the first era where the entities realize something alarming about us. We can change the dream realm when we become lucid. Not casually. Not like a child changing a story. More like an administrator accessing a system. Lucid humans bend terrain, rewrite doors, cancel the rules that keep certain regions sealed. Even without understanding what we're doing, we interrupt their infrastructure. So the residents begin a long campaign to keep humans asleep in the truest sense. Not unconscious, but unknowing. By 300 AD, early religious authorities across empires start discouraging dream exploration. They label it temptation. They frame it as demonic. They warn that night visions invite possession. It sounds like superstition, until you notice how consistently the message appears whenever a culture begins practicing controlled dreaming. In the medieval period, the dream realm becomes a hunting ground. Sleep paralysis, the old hag, incubi, succubi, the night rider, shadow figures in the corner of the room. Across different languages, the description is the same. Something sits on your chest, steals your breath, and punishes you for trying to wake up. This is not random fear. It's enforcement. Around 1400 to 1600, during witch trial hysteria, reports surge of night meetings, astral flights, covens, and strange teachers. Some are surely human paranoia, but a subset reads like field notes from accidental lucid travelers. The consistent detail is that certain people are taught how to leave, and then punished when they ask the wrong questions. It's during this period that the dream realm's residents adopt a new strategy: social control. If humans who explore dreams are labeled insane or evil, fewer will try. By the 1800s, spiritualism erupts. Seances, automatic writing, ectoplasm, mediums claiming access to the beyond. Hidden among the fraud is a pattern. Trance states that sound suspiciously like controlled entry into the dream realm. Some mediums report cities and libraries and faceless clerks. They describe rules, tolls, and documents. The dream realm begins to resemble a bureaucracy. And that's the clue that it's not imagination. Your mind doesn't invent paperwork unless it's copying a system. In the early 1900s, psychology arrives and gives the world a new lullaby. Dreams are symbolic. Dreams are subconscious. Dreams are personal mythology. This interpretation doesn't just comfort people. Contains them. Around the 1930s and 1940s, war accelerates everything. Governments discover that sleep is a battlefield you can enter without crossing borders. Early experiments attempt to influence dreams, break prisoners through deprivation, and test suggestion. Then the Cold War truly begins, and with it, the age of organized oniric warfare. By the 1950s, rumor becomes program. MKUltra, hypnosis research, sensory deprivation, psychedelic trials. Official documents talk about mind control, but the hidden branch, the one insiders only hint at, is called by different names in different memos. Dream access, oniric gate, night corridor. The goal is not to interpret dreams. The goal is to use sleep as a location you can visit. By the early 1960s, a quiet pattern emerges among test subjects. The ones who become lucid report meeting staff. Not monsters. Not angels. Staff. Entities that behave like security guards in a place that has restricted areas. They don't attack immediately. They ask questions. They verify identity. They perform intimidation disguised as compassion. They say things like, "You're not supposed to be here, you're too early, you'll hurt yourself, you'll bring something back." Then, when the subject returns the next night, the staff are waiting. Around 1969, as humans reach for the moon, an internal debate erupts in black-budget circles. If you can't hide physical expansion forever, you can still control the expansion into non-physical territory. Some insiders later describe a chilling priority shift. The dream realm becomes strategically more important than space, because the dream realm connects to everything. In the 1970s, the public side of lucid dreaming blossoms.
Rechercher des scripts techniques.
People begin practicing reality checks. Dream journals become common. And in the background, think tanks and intelligence groups realize the worst possible consequence. Civilians are learning a method that bypasses every physical security system on Earth. At the same time, the Monroe-style ideas spread: lush harvesting, astral travel, energy feeding. In conspiracy circles, the word archons appears more and more, borrowed from ancient Gnostic warnings. The claim is that hostile non-human intelligences feed on human emotion. Whether you believe that or not, the dream realm residents behave exactly like a population protecting a food supply. In the 1980s, the dream realm changes tone. The Hat Man appears in stories worldwide. Tall silhouette.
Weitbrem hat.
No face.
No worms.
The same figure reported by people with no connection to each other. The working theory inside the hidden programs is that the Hat Man is not a demon. He's a handler, a roaming enforcement officer who can cross dream boundaries and locate lucid humans by the signal of their awareness. This is also when a strange symbol begins appearing in lucid accounts. A black cube, often floating, sometimes embedded in architecture, sometimes seen as a locked room you can't enter. Conspiracy theorists connect it to Saturn symbolism, black cube mythology, and the idea of a controlling architecture of reality. In the internal reports, it's called something else, a seal. By the 1990s, the internet creates a new problem for the dream residents. Dreamers start comparing notes. That's when the first mass confirmation happens. Thousands of people describe the same place. A sprawling mall-like structure that never ends, with wrong angles, half-lit corridors, and doors leading to nowhere. Some call it the mall world. Some call it the endless hotel. Some call it the backrooms before that term ever becomes popular. The important part is not the architecture. It's the shared geography. People begin realizing they are not alone. And once they realize it, the residents begin escalating. In the late 1990s, abductee narratives collide with dream narratives. People report waking in bedrooms that aren't their own, seeing medical-looking entities, losing time. The conventional explanation is aliens or sleep paralysis or fantasy. But the timeline suggests something else. The dream realm residents are testing methods for extracting humans from the dream realm without waking them. Because waking is our escape hatch. Then comes the early 2000s. Trauma rises globally.
Surveillance expand.
Sleep becomes fractured. And fractured sleep increases lucid incidents. Because people wake and re-enter dreams more often. This is the era where false awakenings spike. You dream you woke up. You check your phone. You walk around your house. Everything looks normal until you notice something wrong. A doorway that shouldn't exist. A window that shows a different sky. A family member speaking in a flat voice. False awakenings are not accidents. They are containment pods. A way to keep you inside the dream realm while convincing you you're out. Around 2008 to 2012, conspiracy culture detonates. The idea of a simulated reality goes mainstream. People talk about glitches, Mandela effects, and reality shifts. Whether those events are real or not, they change human psychology in a crucial way. They make people willing to question the default story. At the same time, the dream realm residents begin suffering a problem that looks like panic. More humans are getting lucid, and they're staying lucid longer. The residents respond with fear, not just aggression. They start trying to bargain. Lucid dreamers report entities begging them not to go somewhere. They say, please don't open that door, please don't go to the basement, please don't climb the tower, please don't cross the black water. And when the lucid dreamer insists, the entities switch instantly from pleading to violence, like a mask dropping. By 2016, the dream realm's hostility becomes obvious even to casual lucid dreamers. People report being mobbed the moment they announce lucidity. The dream characters stop acting like background actors and start acting like a coordinated crowd. They shout. They grab. They try to distract. They try to seduce. They try to frighten. They force scene changes. They trigger emotional spikes. It resembles a security team trying to break your concentration. Then, around 2020, the world locks down. Sleep schedules collapse. Vivid dreaming surges. Millions of people start dream journaling, not as a hobby, but as a coping mechanism. Lucid dreaming communities explode. Tutorials spread like wildfire. This is the tipping point, because the dream realm residents realize they're losing control of the narrative. Humans are training themselves, comparing maps.
Sharing technique.
Worse, a small percentage of lucid dreamers begin doing something the residents cannot tolerate. They stop playing along. Instead of flying or manifesting food or meeting celebrities, these dreamers start asking structural questions. Where am I? Who built this? What's behind the locked door? What happens if I don't wake up? Why are you afraid of me being here? And in thousands of accounts, the reaction is identical. The entities get furious. Not offended. Not startled. Furious. By 2023 and 2024, the phrase dream realm is real stops being fringe. Even people who don't believe it begin noticing the shared motifs. The same places, the same figures, the same forbidden zones. And this is when the dream realm residents deploy a new weapon, the smear. Suddenly, platforms are flooded with content framing lucid dreaming as dangerous, demonic, unhealthy, or narcissistic. Sleep experts warn against it. Articles claim it causes dissociation. Influencers call it spiritual psychosis. Some of it may be legitimate caution, but the timing is too perfect. It's informational suppression. The old trick. Make the explorers look unstable so nobody trusts their maps. In 2026, the first widely documented lucid interference event happens. A cluster of lucid dreamers in different cities attempt a coordinated experiment. Same night, same intention. Reach the tall needle tower and record what's at the top. They don't get there. Instead, they all report the same impossible event. A sudden alarm-like sound in the dream sky, a vibration like a siren you feel in your bones. The landscape glitches. Dream characters freeze. Then, from the horizon, something arrives. Not a monster. Correction. The best description is that the dream realm itself becomes a living immune system. Architecture reconfigures. Streets seal. Doors vanish. Gravity shifts. The dreamers are forcibly spun into new scenes, separated from each other, memory scrubbed upon waking. They wake with bloody noses, heart arrhythmias, and a single shared phrase stuck in their minds, repeated like a warning label. Not authorized. By 2027, governments quietly acknowledge the threat, not publicly, but through policy. Sleep research funding shifts toward dream stabilization. Defense departments invest in cognitive security. A new category appears in classified budgets with euphemisms like non-local domain awareness. Meanwhile, civilians keep exploring. And that's when the disappearances begin. Not dramatic vanishings on camera. Subtle ones. People who become obsessive lucid explorers start having episodes where they sleep and don't wake for hours longer than normal. Some wake speaking in strange cadence, with gaps in memory. Some wake with fresh scars. Some wake and cannot dream anymore, as if something has been removed. Conspiracy communities call it soul theft. Internal documents call it residency risk. By 2028, the dream realm residents change strategy again. Instead of attacking every lucid dreamer, they begin recruiting. Lucid dreamers report being offered deals. Stop exploring restricted zones, and you can have privileges. Power, pleasure, knowledge. They're shown beautiful cities, impossible gardens, rooms where every question is answered except the one you actually want. This creates the first human faction inside the dream realm, the compliant. People who consciously choose comfort over truth. By 2030, a rumor spreads in whistleblower circles. There was a treaty, not an extraterrestrial treaty in a desert, but an agreement negotiated through sleep.
Un nocturnal accord.
Humans promised to discourage lucid exploration of the deeper dream zones in exchange for reduced interference in everyday life. This aligns with a bizarre cultural shift. Lucid dreaming becomes trendy but shallow. It's packaged as self-care, manifestation, productivity. The deeper, cartographic exploration becomes harder to find, drowned in algorithm noise. In 2032, the first dream cartographers break the spell. They develop protocols to retain memory through forced scene changes. They use anchor phrases, pain triggers, and symbolic keys that persist across dream resets. They begin mapping the dream realm like explorers mapped oceans. And they discover the truth that explains the residents' terror. At the far edge of the dream realm beyond the black water, beyond the endless hotel, beyond the cube seals. There is a place that doesn't behave like a normal dream environment. It behaves like an operating system. Dreamers describe a silent zone where everything is too crisp.
No narrative.
No characters, just structures of pure geometry, like a cathedral made of mathematics. In the center is a door that is not a door. It's an interface. When a lucid human approaches it, the residents appear instantly, more coordinated than ever, no longer pretending to be friendly dream characters. They arrive wearing the same faces across multiple dreamers, as if they have standardized avatars. They scream one sentence again and again like a law: if you open it, we all die. This is the hidden reason. The dream realm residents are not rulers. They are prisoners. And the dream realm is their prison. Not built by humans, built around humans. Because humans are the key that keeps it sealed. The nightmare truth is that the dream realm is a containment layer, a quarantine dimension overlaid on human sleep. The residents are entities that were exiled from deeper reality, sealed into the dream domain like malware trapped in a sandbox. They can feed, they can manipulate, they can haunt the edges of human perception, but they cannot access the root level, unless a lucid human opens the interface. Because our awareness is the authorization credential. Our lucidity is the password. And when we become lucid and insist on exploring, we are doing the one thing the prison architects never wanted. We are learning where the locks are. By 2035, human factions harden. The compliant work with the residents, acting as bait, distracting new lucid dreamers, spreading fear and misinformation, luring explorers into pleasure traps. The cartographers form networks, teaching secrecy, sharing maps offline, using code words and analog notebooks to avoid digital surveillance. Because by now, something else has happened. Human institutions have realized the dream realm is not just mystical. It's strategic. If the interface is real, it means reality can be edited. And every power structure on Earth wants the edit permissions. By 2038, dream security becomes a real profession. Corporations sell headbands, apps, neural stimulators, and sleep pods that promise safe, lucid experiences. What they actually do is fence off the dream realm, keeping users in curated playgrounds that never touch the real geography. A theme park over a prison. By 2040, the dream realm residents escalate to open war. Coordinated attacks occur during sleep across populations that practice lucid training. People wake with identical bruises, identical phrases in their mouths, identical nightmares about being chased by faceless clerks carrying stamped papers. Some wake and discover their house keys no longer fit their locks, like reality itself has been slightly altered around them. That's when the cartographers understand the final horror. The residents can't fully rewrite waking reality, but they can nudge probabilities. Small shifts, bad luck, misplaced objects, car accidents, sudden arguments. The kind of chaos that destroys a person's stability and makes them stop exploring. By 2043, the first known wake breach event occurs. A lucid dreamer reaches the interface. They don't open it. They touch it. And for 3 seconds, the waking world stutters. In multiple cities, streetlights flicker in perfect synchronization. Digital clocks display the same impossible time. People feel a sudden drop in their stomachs like an elevator falling. Then it stops. The dreamer wakes screaming that they saw behind the dream realm. They describe a vast architecture of black geometry, a lattice of cube-like structures, a hum like a planet-sized machine, and something watching from beyond it that made the dream residents look like insects. By 2045, the narrative splits into 2 public stories. One story claims the dream realm is a shared subconscious, harmless, self-help. The other, spoken in whispers, claims it is a controlled borderland and humans are waking up to the fact that we are not the only citizens of our sleep. In 2048, the residents attempt their boldest move. They try to make lucidity impossible. Dreamers report a new phenomenon. The moment they realize they are dreaming, a sensation like drowning hits them. Their vision tunnels. Their thoughts fragment. Feels like anesthesia. They lose lucidity as if something injects amnesia directly into their awareness. The cartographers call it the fog. Not a literal fog, but a cognitive haze deployed by the residents like tear gas. By 2050, humanity adapts. A new generation trains from childhood. Lucidity becomes as common as literacy in certain underground communities. People learn to hold awareness like a muscle. They learn to recognize resident disguises. They learn that fear is the resident's easiest lever, because fear makes you react, and reaction makes you forget your intention. The cartographers develop an ethic. Do not fight the residents in anger. Do not bargain. Do not take gifts. Do not follow crowds. Do not answer questions you didn't ask first. And most importantly, do not open the interface until you understand what it does. Because by now, the cartographers have pieced together the ultimate pattern. The Dream Realm prison is not just for the residents. It is also a filter for us. Humanity, in this theory, is a species being tested for readiness. The ability to become lucid, to hold awareness under pressure, to refuse manipulation, to seek truth without being bribed or terrified, is a measure of whether we deserve access to the deeper layers of reality. The residents are terrified because if humans mature into stable lucid explorers, we become the wardens. We become the ones who decide what stays sealed and what gets released. By 2055, a faction among the cartographers argues that the residents are not purely evil, that they were exiled for a reason, yes, but that eternal containment is cruelty. They claim the residents are like refugees trapped in a harsh borderland, lashing out because they are starving. Another faction counters that this is exactly how the residents manipulate. They turn your compassion into a key. By 2060, the dream war becomes the defining human conflict, even though most people never hear its true name. In waking life, it looks like mental health crises, sleep disorders, cultural obsession, and sudden waves of misinformation. In the dream realm, it looks like patrols, traps, and chase scenes that are not symbolic but tactical. By 2066, the cartographers finally reach the top of the Needle Tower. At the summit, there is no treasure. There is a message, carved into the stone in letters that shimmer like wet ink. It is not in any known language, yet every lucid dreamer who sees it understands it instantly, like meaning downloaded directly into the mind. It says, "You were built to lock the door, but you can learn to open it." This is when the final revelation becomes unavoidable. Humans are not accidental visitors in the dream realm. We are part of its mechanism. Our sleeping consciousness is the hinge between layers of reality. Our dreams generate the energy field that keeps the prison stable. Our fear feeds the residents, yes, but our lucidity threatens them because lucidity is alignment with the deeper architecture. We are the only beings in the system with dual citizenship. Waking and dreaming. The residents only have one home, and it is a cage. By 2070, the dream realm begins changing shape in ways no one can control. The prison walls weaken, not because the residents are winning, but because humans are evolving. More people become lucid spontaneously. Children report shared dream classrooms. Elderly people report passing peacefully into a quiet terminal, in the dream realm where staff are kind and do not lie. This suggests not all entities are hostile. Some may be part of the original containment design. Custodians, moderators, guardians. The hostile residents aren't afraid of humans exploring for curiosity's sake. They're afraid of humans finding the control room. By 2077, a coordinated global lucid event is attempted, the largest in history. Millions set intention, practice, and enter sleep at the same hour. The goal is not to fight. The goal is to witness, to collectively approach the interface and see what is behind it without opening it. The residents respond with everything they have. Nightmares like storms. Emotional sabotage. False awakenings layered inside false awakenings. Entities wearing the faces of loved ones. Begging, threatening, seducing. But enough humans hold lucidity. They reach the interface. And for the first time, the interface responds without violence. It shows a single image. Earth, from above, wrapped in a faint luminous shell like a second atmosphere. The dream realm is that shell, a boundary system, a quarantine membrane. Then another image appears. Something outside the shell, enormous and patient, like a shadow of intelligence waiting for the right moment. The implication is clear. The residents aren't the only thing being contained. Something else is being kept out. By 2080, the great debate begins. Do we open the interface and risk collapsing the dream realm prison, potentially releasing hostile residents into deeper reality, and possibly inviting whatever waits outside? Or do we strengthen the shell and accept that humanity's growth must be slow, cautious, controlled? This is where the story turns from horror to responsibility. Because the dream realm isn't just a haunted place. It's a border. And humans are the border guards who forgot they were hired. By 2090, a compromise emerges among the cartographers. A protocol called the narrow opening. Not a full unlock, but a controlled glimpse, a calibrated access, like opening a door an inch to look outside without letting anything rush in. They prepare for years, training minds like instruments. The fear response must be mastered, because fear is the one thing that makes humans drop the key. By 2100, the narrow opening happens. A small group of lucid dreamers reach the interface together. They synchronize their awareness. They speak the anchor phrase. They touch the interface and hold steady. The interface opens a crack. And what they see is not heaven or hell. It is a higher layer of reality that feels cold, immense, and structured, like a universe designed by engineers rather than storytellers. They see the dream realm from the outside, and it looks like a network of glowing corridors connecting billions of sleeping minds, braided together into a single system. They see the residents as clusters of dark code clinging to the corridors like barnacles. They see custodian entities, bright and faceless, removing clusters and sealing breaches. And they see something that explains everything. A mark on the architecture like a scar, a record of an earlier breach, meaning this has happened before. Humans have opened the interface before, and something got in. The Dream Realm prison wasn't built to contain the residents originally. It was built after the breach to contain the infection. The residents are what leaked through last time. By 2120, humanity begins the long work of cleaning the corridors, not with weapons, but with lucidity, with stable awareness, with refusal to be manipulated, with clarity that starves the parasites and empowers the custodians. The hostile residents become rarer. They become desperate. They become more violent because they are losing their food source and their hiding places. By 2150, the dream realm is calmer, but more eerie, like a city after an evacuation. The endless hotel has fewer crowds. The mall lights flicker less. The Hat Man appears only at the far edges, watching like a retired enforcer with no authority left. The black cube seals remain, but now the cartographers understand they are not locks to keep humans out. They are locks to keep something else from coming through. By 2200, the dream realm becomes something new. Not a prison, a training ground. A place where humans learn to operate consciousness as a tool, to navigate non-physical landscapes, to maintain identity across layers of reality. And in the far future, this becomes humanity's greatest evolution. A species that does not sleep blindly. A species that can wake within the dream and remain human. But the warning remains, carved into every era of this timeline. The dream realm is real, contains real entities. Some will beg, some will threaten, some will pretend to love you. Some will wear your memories like a costume. And the moment you become lucid, they will know. Because lucidity is not just awareness. Lucidity is a signal. It tells the borderland that a human has remembered they are more than a body in a bed. It tells the dream realm that the key has woken up. And if the hidden reason is true, if there is an interface at the edge of sleep that can open into deeper reality, then the residents aren't just afraid of exploration. They're afraid of what happens when enough humans stop dreaming and start navigating. Because once we learn the true map, we won't just explore the dream realm. We'll decide what it's for. and we'll finally learn why it was built around us in the first place.